your move to Hamilton, how will that affect what you do and how to get your word out? Because in many ways, media-wise, Hamilton's a totally different market than Toronto.
It 100% is in so many different ways, just from the cost of advertising and doing those things, where in Toronto you got so many choices in stations and the newspapers are following the Leafs and the Raptors and the Blue Jays in season, and that's their focus, and even with the landscape. So it's a much smaller local community there, the one newspaper, the local TV station, and I think it gives us a chance to really make an impact with the money we spend out there to get our message out. Whereas I feel like in Toronto, you spend this money and you're touching such a fraction of an area that makes it really challenging.
How frustrating has it been for you to think that you had a great game on Thursday night or Friday night at Scotiabank Arena and great plays, and then all everybody's talking about are the Raptors or the Leafs?
Well, I never got frustrated by it, because when I bought the team, I knew that. I've lived here all my life. I know how this town works. I took it kind of as a challenge. The frustration was more that we couldn't get more people in the city out to see our product and enjoy the event. We believe compares with anything from an entertainment perspective.
Matt, do you view Jamie as a competitor in Hamilton?
I think we're a believer that high tides float all boats, John, and sports entertainment fans can be sports entertainment fans of just that notion of going live, and both of our leagues are obviously reliant on an in-stadium audience and selling tickets. But I'd also like just to comment on Jamie's point there. I'd argue that Hamilton's one of the more complicated media markets there is, because we live in this smack dab middle where there's a huge percentage of our people that consume Toronto media or even consume Buffalo media. So we have so little organically in market that it complicates the issue further. But to answer your question specifically, no, I don't view it to be competitive. I think it's a situation where the industry can support each other, and people going to events benefits all of us in time.
So to that point about media, you guys have created a different approach in Hamilton this year. Do you want to explain it?
Well, and the response I was going to give to your first question that Bill responded to there was just, I think the need to be multiple in terms of how you're servicing fans, just knowing there's so many different types of fans today, even defining them by, is a fan someone who buys a ticket, is a fan someone who consumes social media or other forms of content, because I think there's probably an answer to how you serve all of those individually. I think one that is often overstated and perhaps less glamorous than some of these media processes is just rolling up your sleeves in the hard work of doing work in the community, doing work with kids. I know at our place, we invest heavily both money, time, and people into making sure that we're touching and interacting with kids across age groups and constituency groups, whether it's elementary school into high school. So I think that's often a part of fan development that isn't touched. But your specific question there, John, we actually had our radio rights lapse this past season. And hired a smart consultant to help us evolve our own audio network. So rather than going a traditional path of distributing audio broadcast via traditional radio, we developed what we call the TICAT Audio Network, which gives us a platform both for live game broadcast, but also on-demand consumption. And we've seen phenomenal results for that in kind of year one, because it allows us to do different things based on the stakeholder groups. From Mike Morielli's in the audience, he does a bit of an R-rated podcast with his alumni fellow Mike Rob Hitchcock, but games and on-demand content have served us well.
And the reaction has been
tremendous.
It has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So now, do you see other CFL teams going to that model?
We've been, we've certainly had discussions with other clubs interested in what we're up to. And listen, I think it's you're in year one launch. You learn certain things might work better than others. And the key long-term strategy, to Chris's point earlier about sustainability, is how do we drive revenue through the platform? And I think that's something that comes as we build audience and build listenership.